What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live deep dive, a Q&A version. We went and asked and solicited questions on Inside Texas. You guys provided, and we're here to answer all your questions. The questions were so good. We had so many, Ian, that we're going to do this again next week because we've got some carryover. We're not going to be able to get to everyone's great questions. Are you ready to mog these questions, Ian?
Yeah, I like how you took credit for soliciting these questions. When I was the one that did all the work in soliciting the questions, I opened up the new post in the forum, and I am the one that typed out, give us questions for the deep dive. You didn't do any of that.
That is true. Ian spent a good 30, 45 seconds of work there, and I want to thank him. So appreciate that, Ian. Really appreciate you taking up the slack that I offer on our team. Yeah. And the people definitely delivered. Hey, speaking of Inside Texas, there's a place you need to go. It's called Inside Texas. You can join for $1 American, new members only. This is the Longhorn community of the elite. You got to come join. You got to be a part of the best conversation about sports on the internet. Ian, you ready to tackle some questions from the good people?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. All right. What qualifies for y'all as a successful season given the all-in nature of the offseason? Natty or bust? Semifinals? Just making the playoffs? That is from Flughorn 2016. All right, Ian. What do you reckon? What do you define as a successful 2026?
None of these quite do it for me. It's sort of natty or bust, but there's a world in which they can fall short of the national championship, and it'll be like, I will understand.
Stuff happens.
So in that stuff happens, like parameters, semifinals, quarterfinals. It's hard to, you know what I mean?
Let's reframe it. Let's start at a minimal qualifying, minimal floor for this season. What's that? And then we can work up from there.
Yep.
What's a minimal floor for this season?
I think they need to make the playoffs. No excuses.
Agreed. So you don't think it's the Cheez-It Bowl?
As much as I love Cheez-Its.
All right.
No, they don't.
So I agree. I think a general. I mean, for me, my general expectation now with what Sark has rebuilt and with the program being energized and hitting, I think the expectation should be to make the playoffs every year. And then from there, I think the quality of your team, your matchups, acts of God kind of determine how far you go. But I would say, to me, I think we should always make the playoffs. That's the expectation. I think that's really the expectation for 2026. Let me ask you, he says, given the all-in nature of the offseason, do you think that was all in? I'm not saying that we got every single thing we wanted, but do you think we went all in this offseason? Do you think we pointed this year and said, hey, we've got to deliver on Arch's likely last season at Texas?
From what I can tell, I think Sark took this offseason extremely seriously, did the things that he thought would be necessary to compete next year, and secured a lot of buy-in and a lot of cash from important donors.
Yeah.
I think that from like the donor side and the intensity of effort, this is all in for Texas. Now, the caveat is that Kyle Flood is still the offensive line coordinator, and Sark really didn't do much to upgrade maybe a few different departments on offense and personnel in a timely fashion like we might have thought was necessary. I think that's because he believes he's going about this the way that he knows how to try to win a championship. So that's not really a lack of being all in. That'd be more of like, just this guy doesn't know how to win at the highest level, right?
Yeah, I think we were all in within the construct of the program. Doesn't mean that we have everything perfect and ideal. That's not what all in means.
Right.
If someone's really out of shape and they decide they want to start running and they go run as hard as they can and freaking put in every bit of their effort till they fall on the ground and then limp home, that person was all in, even if they only ran a mile and a half. Is that fair?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not saying we're the out of shape guy that could only run out a mile and a half. I mean, when you go get Cam Coleman, you're all in. When you can't get Baugh into the portal and then you pivot and you go get Smothers and Raleek Brown, you're all in. I mean, do I wish we'd executed a little better on the offensive line? Yes. But I think that's kind of marries with what you were saying about Flood. And we were all in within the construct of what the program is.
This is about as close to as all in as Texas generally looks. We could make a million quibbles. Like, is the athletic department really all in? Is the administration really all in? No, but for Texas standards, as close as you're going to see.
I agree. And
close enough to win.
Well, and I've mentioned this. One thing that I think really cooked Brian Kelly at LSU. Obviously, he was a little bit in retirement mode, sort of at LSU, a little bit more offhands on the program and getting in his golf like Hugh Freeze. But when they had Jaden Daniels for 2 years, and one of those years, Jaden Daniels was the best he was the best player in college football by a large margin. I mean, he was a dominant college quarterback, an all-timer. And they didn't really do anything in those 2 years. I think that LSU fans had a real resentment about that. And I don't think that Sark wants to waste the last year of Arch Manning. So I think that's part of it. I also think last year was just a disappointment overall. And I think that kind of put a little burr in his saddle. Yeah. So if you're a fan and you say Natty or bust, is that fair? I don't know. There's a lot that needs to go right for you to get a national championship.
Yeah, I think that's not a terrible starting point, honestly. It's like you have as big a payroll as anybody. You have this fourth-year sensational quarterback. You have the chance now to build around him every year in the transfer portal. Like, what's the excuse? But there could be mitigating, if you lose a heartbreaker in the semifinal or the final, it's like, are you really going to say that Sark's a failure? It just depends on how that plays out.
Well, I'll tell you what, getting into the playoff, if you look at our schedule, it is not fait accompli. Like,
you're right. Yeah.
We have a legit schedule. It's hard. And then you go look at Notre Dame's schedule or Texas Tech's schedule, and you want to throw something through a wall. So anyway, keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, my minimal expectation is make the playoff. Once you make it and we think that we're the kind of team that we can be, I got to think we're going to make the Final Four. And then from there, it's matchups, styles make fights, and we can control how good we are. We can't control how good other teams are. So, what if Oregon puts it all together? What if Ohio State puts it all together, even after their significant losses? You never know who you're going to be playing, right?
Can we hit this Utah Horn question real quick before we pivot off the topic? Utah Horn asks, if we don't win it this year, would you all still have confidence in Sark doing it eventually? I am not the guy that says that people are just like static and cannot improve. Like, I think Sark could fail and learn and still get better as a coach. Would he have the same context? Would he be able to get the same buy-in from donors? Would he have as talented a team again? Maybe, maybe not. But I wouldn't rule out Sark forever based off of. I mean, that's how you end up with something like the Patriots hiring a young guy named Bill Belichick that people didn't want.
I mean, if we lose the national championship game by a score, does that make me lose my confidence in Sark? No.
Yeah.
No, it probably makes me more likely to think we can make it back.
So, it even looks like Sark had a big plan for this offseason, and then there were parts of it that were a little maybe rougher than he thought, and he's still making hires and still changing things to in response to those. Right? He's like hiring more personnel department people in general.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is something that I identified couple of years ago that we need to flesh out the professional aspect of that organization, and we're starting to do that. I still think we need to keep going, but we're going directionally. It's directionally correct right now. So, any more to add on this?
No.
All right, let's move on. If you were a defensive coordinator facing Texas this year, I do that all the time, by the way. How would you set up your defense to stop this offense? What can Sark do as an offensive coordinator to counter that setup? This is from Gibbs. So, may I take a swing at the first part?
Yeah.
All right. So, if you're a defensive coordinator facing Texas this year, how would you set up your defense to stop this offense? So, what is this Texas offense going to look like? Well, dynamic quarterback, probably an improved offensive line. So I don't think just blitzing us into oblivion is the answer. Dangerous people outside. Wingo, Coleman, Mosley, and we've got guys backing them up that are dangerous. Better tight ends that are dangerous. And then running backs that are like really dangerous. Block it up right. These guys can score. So I would probably play Texas too high. I would probably ask us to execute up and down the field. I would certainly attack some of the interior line positions that were weak last year. It doesn't mean I do it with numbers, but I would do it with stunts, maybe with honest fronts. Try to see if that's been addressed or if that's a larger issue for Texas. And I would ask Texas to execute down the field. Texas was very undisciplined on offense. They didn't always hit their gimme throws. That was an arch problem. That was also a receiver problem. And then they were prone to penalties. So if you face this really talented offense, I want to go too deep. I want to prevent big explosives over the top. And then I also probably want to put big bodies on our guards and our tackles. And see if I can get movement or push or neutralize them at the point of attack so that I can shut down some of our outside zone or some of those other concepts. But I'm hoping that Texas will self-destruct. I want to take away the big playmaking ability. And my hope is I can get them behind the chains with penalties, turnovers, poor execution, and see if it kind of looks like what it looked like last year. What do you think?
I 100% agree. I would have said the exact same thing, only I would have missed the point about the penalties. But I would have noted that Sark has this obvious bias toward creating explosive plays, which you can see with the selections they made for who to play at running back. He's like, I want to be explosive even in the run game, right? I don't want you to be able to deny me explosive plays. So, yeah, as big as you can get on the D-line without risking losing your ability to contain Manning on a scramble, and honest boxes, too high coverage, make them earn their way down the field. I think there's a chance that Texas could be really bad against that. Because I don't know if they have
an executional defense where you just have to kind of be patient and move it 8, 12, 10 yards, 6 yards at a time.
Yeah, they have pieces that, I mean, they may be excellent against that. But I would have question marks about against like a Georgia or a team like that. Like, do you have the McCoy Shipley deal where you can literally throw stick routes or slants all the way down the field over and over and over again?
Yeah.
I think that Manning could do that, but I don't know if they have the emphasis on that to master it, or the like slot receiver, possession receiver guys that would be nails in executing it.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about Sark? Historically, he likes to scheme. He likes to play call, right? He likes to have a play, a gotcha, particularly in the passing game. The area where he has been patient and he has shown a willingness is when the running game's working, he'll run the ball. We have seen that. So that's to his credit. So that dovetails with the natural follow-up. What can Sark do as an offensive coordinator to counter that setup? Is it as simple as getting good enough running the ball that we can just run the ball on people when they try to go too high?
Well, That's one option. That's probably the option that Sark would lean toward. I would prefer the more spready answer, where
Yeah.
you can get out and like flex your tight end and your running back and let Arch Manning try to dominate the game with quick passing. Either of those are plausible. Either of those might be missing like one or two pieces. I will say though, like the number of teams that could execute what you laid out as the antidote to Texas is like less than 10, probably. Right?
You mean having the quality of talent to also
Having
pull it
the
off.
quality of talent and the discipline and the right schemes to actually do that.
So you don't think UTEP's going to do it to us again?
Well, especially like at a playoff level, like you would probably get a few rounds into the playoffs before you faced a team that could do that, I think.
Could Ohio State do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those Oregon, Georgia, Alabama, those like top tier programs, yeah, they can do that. And so that's a concern. But you can still win like 10 games before that really,
So the counter is running the ball, obviously. If you've got an honest or even a light box, you want to be able to run the ball. And we've got running backs that I think, sometimes our frustration last year, not pretending the run blocking was great, but you and I broke down on the deep dive many times. We blocked it really well, and the running back ran 9 yards without being touched. And then when he got touched, he fell on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I think Smothers and Raleek Brown are guys that if you block 9 yards of green, there's a good chance that safety standing at the end of the portal is going to get juked, is going to get dead-legged, is going to get run through, and we're going to create a bigger play than just the 9 yards it was blocked for. So I think the other part that you're right is Sark has been reluctant to just go kind of spready and just go, all right, you're going to play too deep. Cool. We're going to just hammer these plays of, Ryan Wingo in the flat, Cam Coleman on a stick route, Emmett Mosley slipping into your zone. And we're just going to go 11 yards, 13 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, and just move down the field. We saw some of that against Mississippi State when we fell behind. Sark just said, screw it. We went to basically like a spread offense, right?
Yeah.
That was more probably deep oriented because we could throw it on them. They couldn't cover us. But I wonder if he would feel more comfortable doing that with Arch, because the other part of that is as you do that and you start to run defenders off, Arch can just pull the ball down and run for 14 yards, right?
Yeah.
And that really hurts a college defense.
That's the direction my flag team went this season.
Oh, no.
No, just like teams are going to sit in too high and we're going to throw it underneath and we're going to get so good at it that we just chew them up. And it's been working. Plus you get better and better and better at it. So by the time you get to the playoffs, you can really become a problem.
So if 10-year-olds can do it, Texas should be able to do it.
Yes.
All right. Hey,
Arch Manning.
I want to tell you something about that all of you can do. Because if you're in the market for a house, there's only one phone call to make. Just like we like to dial up the digits 1-6 to win games against Michigan and A&M and Arkansas, you got to dial these 10 digits, 832-557-1095. That will connect you with Gabe Winslow, the best mortgage guy on this planet. He's absolutely awesome at what he does. Right now, interest rates are at about a 3-year low. So if you need to refi, Gabe is the guy to call. He's going to be able to help you out. And depending on your financial situation, he might be able to do your refi for free. And there are multiple watchers of this program who have become Gabe's clients, and they've refied 3-4 times in the last 5 or 6 years, all to their benefit, often absolutely for free. You got to do it. And if you're looking for a new house, even better, getting your little slice of the American dream, you got to use Gabe. Other mortgage guys, they are going to go and they're going to go to their bank and they're going to get one rate quoted to them. Gabe's going to have 50 different people, 50 different lenders bidding against each other to get and earn your business. And then he's going to structure your deal overall with respect to cost, not just your rate. And he's going to get you the best possible situation. Give him a call. Find out why he's the best. 832-557-1095. So the chat was mentioning Blake Bryant says Ohio State's losing a bunch on defense. I know they have talented guys they recruited, but not over the 2-year span. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you look at it, Ohio State, you're going to hear their names a lot in the draft coming up in the first round. They're losing their 4 best defenders, and 3 of those defenders will go in the top 10, possibly. So, yeah, they're going to be down on talent. That said, I tell you what, there's no team that's done a better job of reloading. So we will have to see. All right, Ian.
Yeah.
We got a question from a guy named Ivan Vieith. Not haven't heard of this guy, but it's a good question. How concerned are you with Texas's ability to run at or around the goal line? Do they have the interior offensive line to run up the middle? If you aren't confident, what's the solution, or who's the solution? Arch as power halfback, one of Cooper or Terry stepping into the power role, or just plainly not running that much near the goal? All right. This is a question we've grappled with a little bit prior. What do you think? Is anything going to change this year in this regard?
Maybe. I think Masunis will help here, and Townsend will help here a little bit. I don't know what the stats said. I think the stats said Texas still wasn't that great around the goal line last year.
No.
It felt like they were better, though.
Yeah, a little better.
Arch Manning scored a lot. He made things easy sometimes just by scrambling. The quarterback run game, like intentional quarterback run game, not actually that good. So I guess the real question is this a thing that could ruin them again as it did in 2024? And I would say maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Arch ran for 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that always helps. I'll say there's some different things we can do here. So what Masunis and Townsend can't help us with is running downhill in between the tackles.
Yep.
You still have to get some displacement. You still have to get movement. And we saw, and we pointed out on the deep dive, many instances where our offensive linemen just got stood up and moved backwards, right? They're just not strong enough. So it's something I've harped on. We've got to get stronger. The other part of this, I think, is I wrote an article about Indiana. And one of the things that was kind of their little secret sauce in the red zone is they threw the ball in quite a bit. And that's because they trusted Mendoza. And they also had big, strong, sure-handed physical receivers. So because Indiana established, hey, we will run downhill on you. We love to run inside zone. We love to run duo. We've got backs that are willing to put their head down and grind. You have to play goal line personnel, and you have to play a front that's for the run. You've got to have more guys dedicated on your front. If that's the case, then Indiana would just say, fine, we got one-on-one coverage outside. Our guys can win. They're going to bully your corner, and we're going to throw the ball in. And so Fernando Mendoza, a great number of his touchdown passes weren't 60 yards. They came from 5 yards, 7 yards, 9 yards, 3 yards. So if you have that legitimate threat, you also have the running ability of Arch Manning, and you're a little bit better on the edges in terms of your tight end personnel, actually being able to win one-on-ones. I think you've got a better goal line solution overall. The other thing is you don't necessarily have to go to a goal line offense. You could just run your regular offense if you really believe in Cam Coleman or Ryan Wingo or Emmett Mosley winning outside. Those are big guys. They're big receivers. And if they can be sure-handed and run good routes, that's very difficult for defenses to deal with. If you come out in 12 personnel or even 11, you still want to have a loaded box in the goal line, right? You don't want to play an honest box when the guys with the other team's 4 yards from the goal line. So you're still going to have those advantages. Cam Coleman one-on-one, I can tell you that's an instant touchdown. If you throw the right ball, he's going to score. So what do you think, Ian?
Yeah, Mosley has some of that too.
Yeah.
Shanahan, Kyle, your bud out in the Bay, was asked about that legendary Seahawks Patriots thing that everyone was talking about because they played again, where they didn't hand it to Marshawn Lynch on the goal line. And he was saying that the Patriots were in this goal line defense where it was like all defensive linemen and linebackers and then 3 corners and no safeties. And so he was like, if you're Seattle, you actually have to throw there because they were going to have like someone big and unblocked if you tried to run the ball. if you were going to run the ball, you had to call timeout and you had to sub in a goal line offense. If you're going to run a play from that package that you were in, it needed to be a pass because they were going to give you one-on-ones, but they were going to load up and make it impossible to run it.
Yep.
But to your point, Texas could just play 11 personnel spread on the goal line. And then like those safeties that would normally shut down any chance at running the ball in, well, you can't do that because now you need them to stop Cam Coleman or to stop, if they could teach Wingo how to run a corner route, then that there's a lot of things they could do there that might present the answer.
Evan mentioned in here, and something I think we should address, the idea of Cooper or Terry stepping in as the power back, right? And the idea is that a power back is more effective in the goal line. Yeah, and it helps if you got a big, strong guy and you're fighting for a yard. You're on the 1 yard line. He might be the guy if there's an unblocked linebacker. He can just push through that guy and get in the paint, right? That's great. Truth is, goal line efficacy or being a good red zone running back or short yardage running back, a lot of it is about your ability to cut, vision, and also be nifty, have great feet, break tackles. So Bijan Robinson is not a huge running back by NFL standards. He's a great goal line back. Historically, Walter Payton, 200 pounds. He was a great goal line back for those reasons. So I don't necessarily equate your body weight or your size as being an effective short yardage back. Although there are times when that's part of the physics and that's the way you block it, which is, hey, let's get movement. We'll get double teams at the line of scrimmage. And if they've got a free linebacker, your job is to run through him and fall forward. That's fine. But also, a lot of the times you convert short yardage, you convert on the goal line because your guy has good vision and good feet. And that's not related to his body weight.
I've seen Michael Terry proposed as a solution for like 3 different things next year.
Yeah.
He is a blank canvas right now that everyone is painting their hopes and dreams on.
He is the tabula rasa of Longhorn football.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen anything from him that makes me think he'll be any of those things.
Yeah, and Cooper, physically very impressive. He's got sort of a good size power combination for a high school back. Not very refined or nifty. So if there's some traffic on a short yardage situation, he may not be the guy that is able to like pick through it or has the vision to see it. We don't know that. So
Walker would be my bet over either of those two. The Georgetown guy. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Over these two guys.
I would say that Raleek Brown is pretty small. And so that is a fear that if he gets a little contact early, it gets dirty. He might go down in the backfield. Hollywood Smothers, I've seen some things from him that suggest he could be okay in that role. But I agree. I think the best way you attack this is you just have enough weapons. The fear of us running it, the fear of Arch running it, the fear of us just flipping it out to Cam Coleman or Emmett Mosley, bullying or posting up a little corner. You have enough of those threats, then kind of the defense has to play everything. And then whatever they overplay, just do the other thing.
Yeah, jet sweep to Nick Townsend. Keep
doing the Nick Townsend trick play. I love it.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat asked if Arch gets hurt, then what? Well, depends who we're playing. I think there's a famous quote from the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, and they said, we heard that their number 2 isn't getting a lot of reps with the number 1 offense. What if Peyton Manning gets hurt? And he says, well, if Peyton Manning gets hurt, we're effed, and we don't practice, we're effed. So I don't think it's quite as bad with Arch because I think depends on where it falls in the schedule, who we're playing, how many games. Look, I promise you KJ Lacey can come in and beat, the lower tier of our schedule. Can he go win at LSU and Baton Rouge at night? I don't know. I don't know about that. We better hope our D shows up in that game. But I think, Arch is very, very important. Let's say that.
Texas lived that world and had the most success I've ever seen from Texas. And then Matt got scared about what if the quarterback gets hurt. And he moved away from being as quarterback centric. And then he was soon fired.
Yeah.
So just go for it. Don't worry about that.
I mean, yeah, honestly, just go play the game. And, look, if we're up 4 touchdowns late against someone, let's not run Arch on power. Like, be smart. Like, let's not be stupid about it. And, we did that with Vince Young. If you go back and look at his career, look at his game logs, against bad or inferior teams or teams that we were blowing out, with the passing game, he would have 5 carries.
Yeah.
Other games that were must-have games, he's running it 18 times. And that's just how it's going to be. Sam Ellinger, God bless that guy. Whether we were playing a scrub or someone awesome, he was going to carry it 25 times if the game got close. So, you can beat these guys into the dirt, but I think we can be smart and judicious. Plus, don't underestimate. Arch is a big, strong guy.
Yep.
All right. Along the lines of your pod today, that's the Everyone Gets a Trophy podcast.
Did you talk about this too?
What's that?
Did you talk about this topic on your podcast as well?
I did, and I nailed it. So whatever you say will probably be inferior to what I said, but let's still try.
Okay.
Along the lines of your pod today, is there a more 4-down centric version of Muschamps D that gets used this year? Simmons friendly, before transitioning to more mint post Simmons. Can you very quickly, as we answer this question, can you refresh the people, or I'll do it, on what a mint defense is? So just we're all on the same page.
Mint is the preferred 3-down defense that Georgia relies on very heavily, especially when they're playing spread teams. They got it from Todd Orlando. Hilariously, they executed it a lot better than Orlando did. But it's very close to what Texas was doing under Orlando with Tom Herman. So the problem, as anybody might remember from the Tom Herman era, is that scheme does not emphasize the edge as a pass rusher or even as a guy that's regularly attacking the backfield. He's doing a lot of contain. He does a lot of dropping into coverage. Yep, there you go.
There you go. So nose tackles and a zero technique. That means head up on the center. I'll just do the blocking and tackling here real quick. You've got a tackle and an end, usually your strong side, big end. We're going to be in what you call 4 eyes, or sometimes you'll have the end in a 5 technique, but they're going to be inside the offensive tackles. That's the key. And then you're going to have your jack out there. Sometimes he's attached to the line of scrimmage. Sometimes he's standing up. Sometimes he's dropping back into coverage. Other times he's hanging out and just looking into the backfield. He's not just sprinting in there.
Yep.
It's not the way to rack up 15 sacks on a season.
Yep.
So the question is, hey, are we going to do some more 4-down stuff? Because Colin Simmons is really good at rushing passers. Is Muschamp going to be flexible on this?
I don't know. The accumulation of 350-plus pound nose tackles in the transfer portal makes me think not. That he will be 3-down mint, and he will watch Simmons not get 20 sacks, and he will shrug so long as the defense is playing well. But
yeah, what do you think about that? Because a lot of the times the fans are like, hey, this is dumb. Like the goal of our defense is to get Colin Simmons in good situations and create plays.
Yeah.
Or is the goal to play good team defense, and who cares about any individual stats?
I mean, obviously it's the second one, but Simmons is a particularly unique generational talent.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said when you have a talent accumulation like Texas has to make it as much about just playing simple football as possible and not trying to do it on the chalkboard. The advent of an expanded playoff era maybe says chalkboard is more important than it used to be, as well as playing in the SEC almost every week now. So I go back and forth on this. I feel like,
well, let me ask you, is there a 4-down version available from the Kirby Smart coaching tree that has been evidenced by another guy at another major program?
Yeah. Dan Lanning does a more 4-down version. It works. I like it a lot. They did get completely blown out by Indiana. I think Dante Moore was maybe at least as much to blame for that as their defense was. There are answers here. There's stuff Muschamp could do. I wouldn't feel confident right now making a bet on what he actually will do, because it feels like the 3-down solution for Texas next year would make a lot of sense and probably work very well with their personnel. It would just be is he willing to take criticism if they have any kind of underwhelming performance where everyone is making videos where Simmons is seen dropping into coverage during big plays by the offense? What's your leaning?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think Muschamp understands what Colin Simmons is.
Yes.
And I think even from the Mint front, there's still an opportunity to bring Simmons. And in fact, if it's, second and 11, and you suspect that they're probably going to throw, I mean, Simmons may be lined up in the 3 gap. He may be coming up the middle. So, I think, let's not overstate that like Colin Simmons is going to be playing strong safety for us and like dropping into coverage. I mean, it's a part of the package. And by the way, Kwiatkowski dropped both Burke and Simmons into coverage sometimes, right?
Yeah, Burke was good at it.
Burke was good at it. I mean, it helps to be 6'6", right? So
we all saw with Georgia the last few years that if you're in an obvious passing situation,
they'll bring it.
They don't send out the 3-down big dudes.
No,
they send out nasty, exotic stuff, and they tear you apart with their best players.
Here's the problem, though, Ian, and you still hear people see people writing this and saying it, like talking heads. They'll be like, "This linebacker is, he's 255. He doesn't run very well, but he's a good rundown guy." It's like, well, there's no such thing as rundowns anymore in college football, unless you're playing Navy, other than 3rd and 1, right? And so, like, people used to say, I mean, in the NFL, used to say, well, he's a 2-down linebacker. People throw on 1st and 10 in the NFL. In college football too. People throw on 2nd and 3. Like, everyone throws the ball now. So there's none more of this like rundown guys. I mean, now there are individual teams that you're like, hey, this is a run-focused player. He's going to get a lot of run against this team, and the next week he'll maybe have 10 snaps, right? But we kind of do this like he's a situational pass rushing and all that. It's like, other than 3rd and 14, there aren't clear downs and distances in college football anymore where it's a clear run or a clear pass. I mean, in fact, one of Sark's MOs is to run the ball on 2nd and 12 and try to catch you in your little blitz package, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know the answer to this, but I do think Muschamp knows that Colin Simmons is a pretty special guy. And there's a lot of value in not only playing team defense, but also getting Colin Simmons on the passer as quickly as possible.
Yep. I think me and you both trust Muschamp generally to figure this out, and may end up defending him over the course of the year. We'll see.
Yeah, well, if Simmons has no sacks 3 games into the season, it'll be interesting. Even though we've only given up, 4 touchdowns in 3 games or whatever. But
do you know what's funny though is that freaking exactly happened in 2008.
Yeah, it always happens.
He talked up Arakpo and he talked up Kendall and he talked about how he was going to unleash them, and then we went like 3 games without sacks, and while obliterating the other team.
Yeah, and
then by the end of the year, no one was questioning the schematic choices.
And right? You know what? You finally played a couple of teams who dropped back and did proper, and then we had 9 sacks in those games, right?
Yes.
So it's just also a question of what your opponent does. If it's all screens and swing passes, there's no opportunity for Simmons to get a sack anyway. So
that's the whole point of that defensive diagram, is that it's like, hey, if they're just running it, throwing a screen, or throwing deep behind max protection, then why are we blitzing our best player into the void, into the abyss every play? It doesn't make sense.
That's right.
So
that was a big feature of Charlie Strong defenses, if you guys will recall. We would lead the Big 12 in sacks, but we played bad defense because we would just blindly fly, Hager, whoever else up the field, irrespective of down distance, anything, and teams would murder us in the screen game, draws, quarterback run game. I mean, you could tell they were just scheming it up and holding it in their pocket for big game, big plays. There were big situations, and we would always fail because we just predictably blitz, right? So you've got to mix it up. All right, we'll end on this one, Ian. How many groups, and he means position groups, are national title worthy? How many aren't? And are the best position groups good enough to buoy the worst groups and win a title? That's from Flughorn 2016.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see,
a great question.
Uh-huh.
So we could play little semantic games here. By definition, Indiana, every one of their groups was national title worthy, right?
Yeah.
Even though we'd agree probably they weren't elite at every position group. Is that fair?
Indiana is a perfect example because the possession groups were good enough to buoy the worst groups.
Right. I mean, in fact, Indiana had a decent O-line, but they really had like 3 good guys and 2 guys that were pretty deficient. And if you watch the playoffs, other teams attacked those 2 guys very successfully. But their scheme, the rest of their team, the other position groups were able to do enough to make that weakness not fatal. So
they had I hesitate to say jag running backs. Those guys like ran hard, but they were not special running backs.
Oh, so, special, agree. I think Roman Hemby will play in the NFL and get drafted.
Maybe.
So,
that's
the thing about running back. If you're good enough, then you're fine. The thing is, don't have running backs that suck or are below average.
Right. Well, that was the thing with their team. I don't know if they had any below average players anywhere on their team.
No, not really.
They had a lot of like average Big Ten guys.
And that's kind of the key to this question, which is, let's just go through very quickly. Wide receiver core.
I think so. I kind of need to see Wingo get better and Coleman make good. I feel pretty good about receiver in this regard.
I do too. And one thing though is there are different. So we're trained to think wide receiver cores are height, weight, 40 time.
Yep.
Indiana showed us that your wide receiver core can be really deadly just by catching everything that comes within 30 feet of them and being big, strong, and good after the catch, right? And having the right mix. They have their one downfield guy. They've got their guys that are going to body you. They mastered the back shoulder throw with their quarterback. So there's different ways that you can get this done. There's different ways to skin the cat. But I would think that our wide receiver core, if they can level up, if they can be more consistent, I got to think it's a top 3, top 5 national wide receiving core. What about running backs? I think we upgraded that room.
Upgraded. I don't know about best position groups, but it might actually be quite good.
Yeah.
I think Gralik and Smothers are both actually pretty good. So yeah, that one's fine. It's definitely I don't think it's going to drag the team down.
No. Tight end, I think, improved. I don't think many teams look at their tight end room and say, this is the key room that's going to get us to the national title, but you don't want to be deficient there. I think we're better.
It arguably was for Indiana. I think that Indiana guy they had was like low key one of their maybe 5 most important players.
I thought he was a good utility player for sure. I don't think like Fernando Mendoza took a backseat to him in terms of their success, but
not Mendoza, but maybe certainly the running backs and most of the offensive linemen, I would say.
Yeah, maybe so.
He was so good. He made their like foundational run plays work because he would always win at the point of attack.
We talked about O-line. Look, we talked
Texas tight ends. I wish there was a little more proven receiver in the room.
We're kind of hoping Townsend or Winston levels up to that, right?
Right, and they might. But
and Masunis is a guy who's skilled enough that if you don't cover him, he will catch the ball. So that's useful. Offensive line, I think, is the main concern, right? And that's what the thrust of this question is. Are these guys good enough? And we've talked about this. I've sliced and diced it in a million ways. My theory, offensive line, you want to have good players. One of the keys, though, is don't have any bad players because bad players get picked on and they can ruin everything. So you would rather have a bunch of sixes rather than tens and twos lined up next to each other, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
did we do enough?
I think it's possible this will hinge on whether Seymour is eligible.
Maybe so.
I feel kind of two different ways based on whether that guy's eligible or not. It's a lot of unknown inside still if he is unable to play.
Yeah. And can you get it to court quick enough if the NCAA denies the waiver, right?
Yeah.
Because the NCAA's track record in court is the Washington Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters. So you want to face them, but if it's done in October, I mean, it's not helpful to us. So
yep.
That's the offense. I mean, I think we all know that we're looking for the offensive line to improve, but ultimately and then Arch Manning, obviously, I think he's obviously a very good quarterback, and I think he really trended up late. I think everyone will be surprised how good he actually is if we can get him real protection, because I don't think people understood that he was one of the most pressured, most hit quarterbacks in all of football. So
yeah,
it's something we can improve there. What about defense very quickly?
I'll just say the only position that I'm not sure if it's national title worthy is linebacker. Every other position I feel pretty great about.
So let's go through that. Everyone likes Biles quite a bit.
Yeah.
Tyanthony Smith, similar player to Biles, actually.
You're right.
I think we like his potential. Is it a depth issue? Is it a lack of fit for certain roles? What is it you see there?
I think it's mostly a depth issue. It's like Biles has to translate in this new system, which is quite different from what he played at Pitt.
Yeah.
Smith needs to also transition to the system and level up in general. And then who else is there that you even like? Brad Spence from a different position.
Yeah, and that's the problem is people are like, well, he played linebacker at Arkansas. Not really. He was just an edge guy and like run blitz downhill guy. He wasn't playing true linebacker.
Yep.
So, but maybe he can be trained up.
Cryer is, if he's Rashad Bobineau, that would be a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this about Cryer. I looked at him and then I talked to a Florida State guy that I know, and they said, hey, man, this guy's very physical. He's tough. He's a good guy. Florida State obviously has a problem the last couple of years with like quitting in games. He said the fans love Cryer because he played really hard, even when like things weren't going well in the game. He's slow. He's just not fast. So
I'm glad he gets a chance to play for a winner then.
Yeah, agreed. But so I think the issue is when Cryer's in, you just have awareness of that, of the kind of defenses you call. Let's not assign him in man coverage to a running back releasing up the sideline, right?
Right. Who else? I feel like we're forgetting someone that could make this better. Oh, I guess there's Tyler Atkinson as a freshman.
Tyler Atkinson's going to play a lot. I can tell you that.
Yep, that seems to be true.
But he is a player very similar to Biles and Tyanthony Smith.
Yes.
So actually, our linebacker core argues for more of the mint front because that mint front is very good at keeping those guys clean.
Yes.
And they run around and can just be playmakers, which really suits Biles, Smith, Atkinson. If you're asking them to do more traditional linebacker stuff,
yeah. The Oregon version, though, they're like both defensive tackles are two gapping and space eating.
Yeah, they gap and a half or two gap, right?
Yeah, so that does accomplish some similar things. Although that raises questions about, now Justice Terry doesn't have much of a role on the team. If you major in that, I don't know if Murad Watson is going to be great at that. So I think you're right. I think they'll use Mint. They'll cover these linebackers up, and they will be good enough.
But you think defense overall looks like they're national title worthy?
Yeah. I think they'll be top 10 defense. I don't know if they're going to be quite as good as like 24, but they might be, though.
They also, 24 played a more favorable series of offenses, right?
Yeah. But when they had their chance against like Ohio State, they really showed it.
They did. So. And I'll tell you what, this defense will be battle tested before they, I mean, we're going to know what our holes are before we hit the playoffs, because you're going to be playing a lot of very talented offenses and a lot of interesting schemes that are good at attacking your weaknesses. So,
Yep.
you know, LSU, Ohio State, Tennessee, hey man, that's a very different approach to offense. We're going to be a little in shock probably early in that game, and then have to catch up and adjust. Right. So a lot of interesting challenges.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what Mississippi State did to us last year in that scheme with less talent than Tennessee has. So,
yeah, agreed. So, yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of groups that are national title worthy. Again, you can get into like the semantic thing of like, well, if you win the national title, they were all national title worthy, right? But we know that's not true. Some groups were taking up the slack more for others. And if you don't win the national title, you know, does that mean none of them were? Or, you know, obviously you could sort of play those games, but I think that this is going to be a pretty talented football team, but we're not going to be alone. There's going to be some other good college football teams in 2026, and some of them have a much easier road to the playoff.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
hey, one other position group that I think might elevate us some and certainly won't kill us is special teams.
you know, maybe I was looking at the kicker that we brought in, and I didn't see anything that blew me away. So maybe,
well, yeah, but
you're talking about the larger teams like punt returns, Ryan Niblett,
and also not having someone that kills us.
Yeah,
like happened in the SEC championship game.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think there's some value. I mean, Ryan Niblett obviously won games for us last year. There's an opportunity there. And as your overall team talent goes up, your special teams get better too, right? I mean, we've got a ton of cornerbacks that are big and long. Those guys translate over to special teams pretty well. So I mean, Texas should be good. I think everyone should have high expectations, and we should hold the team to those expectations. But understand we're also playing a very different schedule from the Texas Techs and the Notre Dames of the world. So, you know, a 10-2 Texas that makes the playoffs might be a very high seed. So that's something to consider.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So, hey, great questions. We're going to do this again next week. Really enjoyed it. And I don't have anything else to add. What I would encourage all of you to do, of course, support our sponsor, Gabe Winslow, but definitely go to Inside Texas. $1 American allows you to participate in the best sports conversation and Longhorn conversation on the internet. So we also need your likes, your subscriptions, and your comments. Keep them coming. We love hearing from you guys. For Ian Boyd, I am Paul Wadlington saying, hope you enjoyed this live deep dive.